Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news, broadcasting live and available on demand. Available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube, and of course, Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Thursday, May 11th, 2023. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Franchesca D'Amore. This evening we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ+ community from South Florida, America, and of course across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ+ news, you will see it and hear it.
HOTspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a non-profit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for our LGBTQ+ community. Our mission is to support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community. We want to inform and educate on the key issues of our Black community, Latino, lesbian, trans, students, youth, seniors, HIV healthcare, business, political advocacy, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ media companies in America, HOTspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. Our magazine is celebrating 38 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ community and broader community.
Let's welcome our anchor, Elijah Manley. Elijah is a community organizer, activist, and formerly the youngest ever candidate for the Florida House of Representatives. He is the owner of Benchmark Strategies, a South Florida consulting firm. Welcome, Elijah.
I'm very glad to be here. And before I get started, just want to wish a happy birthday to Ryan Young. And also a quick shout out to Cal Turner, who I know is watching right now. All right, let's welcome anchor Matthew Darren. Matthew is an accomplished musician, performer, teacher, and DJ. He was a contestant on season 10 of American Idol and is currently traveling the country performing his Love and Color show. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you so much. That's impressive. Wow. Let's welcome anchor Brently Frey. Brently is a longtime South Florida resident. He enjoys our large, diverse community and supports many of our local nonprofit organizations like Julian's Fountain of Youth and the Stonewall National Library Museum. Welcome, Brently.
Thank you. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ+ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Thursday, May 11th.
Next, let's queer up trans rights. Despite anti-LGBTQ+ laws in Kansas and Missouri, Kansas City moves to become a trans sanctuary city.
A large crowd did stand and applaud the mayor and the council after they unanimously supported this resolution in committee this morning. With it now passed out of committee, the full council is expected to approve the resolution tomorrow, making Kansas City a sanctuary city for gender-affirming care. Now, that care is given to people who have a different gender identity than the biological one they're born with. Marique Jensen is living that experience. Marique was one of many people who watched the committee vote in favor of this resolution.
Officials in Missouri's largest city are moving to declare it a sanctuary for people seeking or providing gender-affirming care, defying state officials who are intent on banning it for minors and restricting it for adults. A Kansas City Council committee approved such a resolution on Wednesday. The council members acted as the Republican-controlled Missouri legislature gave final approval to a bill banning gender-affirming care for transgender minors, sending it to GOP Governor Mike Parson, who is expected to sign it into law. At least 16 other states have enacted laws restricting or banning such care for minors. The resolution also comes as the judge considers a proposed emergency rule from Republican State Attorney General Andrew Bailey that would require adults and children to undergo more than a year of therapy and fulfill other requirements before they could receive gender-affirming treatment. The resolution, approved by the Transportation, Infrastructure, and Operations Committee after being proposed by LGBTQ+ advocates, says the city will not prosecute or fine any person or organization that seeks, provides, receives, or helps someone receiving gender-affirming care, such as puberty blockers, hormones, or surgery. It also says if the state passes a law or resolution that imposes criminal or civil punishments, fines, or professional sanctions in such cases, personnel in Missouri's largest city will make enforcing those requirements their absolute lowest priority. This, I can't believe we're talking about this in 2023.
It's crazy.
Hats off to Kansas City for making a stand. And I always say it's really important to choose your local officials wisely, because at the local level, things like this can happen.
Yeah, that's right. It's a little scary now because now we have a governor that's unhinged who is removing local elected officials who dare even try to fight back. So I'm really happy other states are figuring a way around it. I hope that our elected officials don't get bullied and scared by the governor, by a threat of being removed from office like Andrew Warren and others who've experienced.
Well, it's going to be interesting because, as the story said, Kansas is divided into two states, Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. And I'm from Missouri, born and raised there, and it's always been a well-known fact that a lot of times when the Missouri side wants one thing, the Kansas side doesn't always want the same thing. So it's nice to see that both sides are cohesive in their approach and in their mindset for this. But it'll be interesting to see because Kansas City and St. Louis are the two largest cities in the state. Just like in Florida or most states, there's one city and the rest is all a little less populated. So it'll be interesting to see how the state battles, because St. Louis is in the midst of deciding that same thing right now. So it'll be interesting to see how the state tackles the two largest populations, two largest taxation resources from a public sector. See how it responds to both of those. But it's going to be a battle, and it's going to be a nasty one. I can guarantee you, because Missouri's got some very staunch conservatives in their state positions.
Sure. I think it's going to be a battle all across the board in the United States.
Absolutely.
You know, this is such a divided issue. I do believe, though, a majority of the people are in support of trans rights and, gender-affirming care.
Past polls suggest that.
Yeah.
Even Republicans.
Even with Republicans.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'll see how it goes.
It's interesting. Trans rights are human rights, and here we are. Even in our own state, we're like battling the same thing. Yeah. So, like you said earlier, I hope that our local government doesn't get bullied, and I think like Miami Beach they've been very vocal about it already, and I guess Broward should be the same.
Well, and there'll be a lot of lawsuits being raised over this between the local communities battling the state. So
there's actually, I learned yesterday that because of the legislation passed by the Florida legislature, Broward County's, I think, our LGBTQ human rights ordinance is going to have to change. And I also heard that our Tenants' Bill of Rights is pretty much gone because of the legislation passed by the state. So it's going to really take the cities deciding to really either ignore the law, or a lawsuit will be really helpful.
There'll be a lot of lawsuits.
They can get enjoined, and then that'll solve the issue.
Because the language is very vague in most of these cases, because that's one of the biggest weaknesses of the situation, is that the laws have been written so quickly that they're so vague that it's like, well, your determination of what's medically right for someone, a child, is much different than your version and for the doctor's version. So this is definitely going to go to court.
Right. Well, they're not just attacking our youth. They're also attacking adults. They're attacking parents through all of these laws. It's absolutely crazy.
the performers, the drag performers on the drive, like getting limited on where they can perform and how they can perform, if there's an open window to the public, let alone an outdoor venue. Like, it's insane. And what I saw today on a very, trustworthy site, TikTok, was a young girl who kind of started listing the legislation that has come up, the bills that have come up in the midst of all of this that have kind of been unspoken of as far as the news goes. So I think that there's a lot of like, hey, look over here, while we're getting all this other stuff going on too. And you feed the right words to the masses and they start chewing on them and then they start to believe them. So the times we live in. You're definitely from Missouri though, because you said Missouri.
Yep.
I had to listen there a little bit.
Missouri.
That's the St. Louis in me.
That's awesome.
All right, next, let's queer up education. After anti-LGBTQ plus parents get school play canceled, students raise funds to produce it themselves. Students at Carroll High School in Fort Wayne, Indiana, announced last week that they would be putting on an independent production of a play canceled by the administration earlier that year. In March, Carroll High School announced that the spring play Marion, The True Tale of Robin Hood would not be moving forward, and the new play would be chosen to take its place. The decision came following a few calls from parents who were concerned about certain aspects of the play, such as a non-binary character and a same-sex couple. Students started a petition to get the play reinstated, but despite garnering more than 5,000 signatures, a new spring play was chosen. But the students did not move on so easily. Not long after, some of the students from the Fort Wayne connected with Fort Wayne Pride, the organization that puts on pride events for the LGBTQ plus community, and began planning to put the play on independently. On Thursday, May 4th, students launched a crowdfunding campaign to pay for its play. In the first 12 hours, the campaign had reached $10,000, with a goal of $50,000. As of this broadcast, the students have raised nearly $80,000. In a video announcing the fundraising campaign, several students explained the importance of putting on Marion, regardless of a few parents who didn't agree with the LGBTQ plus characters.
This is Carroll. It's a public high school in the suburbs of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
It's where I go, and I go.
And I go.
Yeah, there's like 2,400 of us who go here.
Gay students, straight students, non-binary students, trans students, you get the picture.
Earlier this year, our drama teacher decided that our spring play should be something that made everyone feel welcome. So, she picked Marion, or The True Tale of Robin Hood, which is a gender-bending take on the traditional story and has some queer themes.
The principal approved a special teen edition of the play, but a group of anti-LGBTQ parents decided they didn't want us to do it, so they called up the principal and told him not to. He got spooked and decided to cancel the play.
It felt like he was canceling us. All because some parents decided to be bullies. And the thing about bullies, as any teacher would tell you, is that you can't give in to them. What that does, it just emboldens them to keep doing it.
Maybe that's why adults have been bullying teachers, principals, and school boards all over the country.
No matter what the reason, we've decided to put on the canceled play ourselves, along with some supportive adults in the community. We've got to fight back against the bullies, especially since right now in Indiana, LGBTQ people are under attack. Our state lawmakers are trying to pass a series of bills that ban gender-affirming care, don't let teachers or students say gay in the classroom, and block attempts to ban conversion therapy.
But here's the thing. We can't put on this play without your help. It turns out plays cost a lot of money, especially when you have to rent out the venue yourself, cover all the production and insurance costs, and you only have 3 weeks to rehearse the show.
Yeah, 3 weeks. It's crazy, we know. But even crazier is not standing up to the bullies, and that's not going to happen. We want to show them and other people like them around the country that their tactics aren't going to work anymore.
We're not going to let them cancel our play. We're going to put it on anyway and make it amazing. That's why we made this video, to ask you for your financial support.
We can't change everyone's mind, but we can put on our play. We can make everyone at our school and in our town feel welcome, and that's what we're going to do.
Yes, children. That was amazing. Do we find new anchors for Queer News Tonight right there?
Sure.
I mean, First of all, props to the drama teacher for recognizing her students and meeting them where they're at and saying, I want all of you to feel included. And it is shameful that, again, we're talking about the same things over and over again. We're in 2023. Children, young people, it is hard enough to find your own self-identity when you're going through that age. And you have like all of these outside influences on you. You have home, sometimes you have religion, sometimes just family culture, and it is impactful on you finding who you are. The last place that needs to be a hindrance to children developing and finding themselves is the educational platform, it should be a very safe space for all of them to express who they are and learn how to express themselves in an environment that's social and is full of diversity, you know?
And furthermore, the arts. You know, I mean, the arts have always been a vehicle for us to express ourselves and to show who we are. So it's just more erasure, you know, as far as attempts of erasure. But our kids are strong. Being on the board of directors for Safe Schools South Florida, we work with our high school kids primarily and college, university kids, and they are not going to take shit from anyone.
Good.
They are strong. And I'm learning a lot of lessons from our youth about standing up and not living in fear. I think I was growing up in a time where you kind of had to like keep quiet. You couldn't really say anything. But I think these kids are reigniting in all of us that spark that we do have to stand up, you know, with caution, as I always say.
Absolutely.
You know, but we do have to stand up.
Well,
so good for them.
We have to remind ourselves that when I came out in the late 80s, and the world was different then. We were battling HIV and AIDS, and we were battling politics in general. The religious aspects we weren't battling as much because it was just implied. But we've made such great strides in the community that I think the community at large has become a little complacent and also a little self-absorbed and protective because we have so many gay cities like Wilton Manors and different pockets of New York City and different pockets of San Francisco and some of these larger.
Hollywood.
Yeah. So I think that this little video with the students saying enough's enough, it really reminds the community at large that we gotta pay attention and be a little more politically involved. We have to educate ourselves to be able to explain what we're asking for. You know, we've done a bad job explaining why we use the word marriage. We don't use the word marriage because we want the religious aspects. We use it because that's how the federal government has defined all the rights that we are receiving or requesting. Through the idea of marriage. So it's a legal definition rather than a religious one. But the religious community has twisted that so that it is only a religious aspect. And it's like, no, you're wrong.
Well, one thing for sure, no one's going to silence Gen Z.
Well, that's right.
We're pissed off.
You're right.
We're fed up. And no one's going to keep us quiet. Not Ron DeSantis, not Donald Trump, not no Republican.
But we need to work together. The older generation, all the different generations of the community needs to work together.
I think that there's a level that you mentioned complacency. I think a lot of that it goes back to privilege. People feel comfortable. We got gay marriage. Let's sit down and be quiet, and we got what we want. But those hard fought for rights, they can be taken back just as easily. I mean, marriage equality, that was just 7 years ago. The fight's not over. We still have to fight for other parts of our community, and then remember that it's all an intersectional battle at the end of the day, and everyone's freedom is really intertwined. And you can't, ignore the fight for Black rights. You can't ignore the fight for trans rights. You can't ignore the fight for just everybody. And so I think that's what Gen Z is doing right now, is we're recognizing that really our future. I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of people older than us in the community are just kind of selfish. We got ours. We got marriage equality. Doesn't impact me. I mean, literally, if I decide to get married in 15, 20 years, who knows? That may not even be an option for me. Right. That just might not be a thing.
Certain things you didn't think we were going to ever have to question again, but Roe v. Wade, I mean, listening to ex-military guy get up and talk about the ban on books in schools. He said something, I pledged myself to fight against terrorists, domestic and abroad, and that is religious fanatics, domestic and abroad. And he said, honestly, I never thought that I would have to fight against religious fanatics trying to infiltrate the government and the country that I serve. I fought for everyone's freedom of religion. That should not be involved in government. That was already established a long time ago. And right now we have the extreme Christian right. And I was a pastor's kid growing up, and I still have my own faith, you know, but the extreme Christian right is swinging hard and swinging as wide as they possibly can and going after everything they can.
But they're doing the divide and conquer thing. That's why they're going after, you know, transgendered community, which represents, I've heard, as little as 0.06% of the population.
Yeah.
So you're going after the easy, low-hanging.
Yeah, they lost the fight against the LGBTQ community
Right. So they're
as
just
a whole. So let's find the most vulnerable community, go after them and demonize them because our voice is louder and we have more people.
But that's why I keep saying we need to educate, because it's fear, it's the lack of knowledge, it's the misinformation, it's the bold-faced lies, it's, you know, all of that along with racism and all these other little aspects that are going into it. We have to, as a community, educate ourselves so that we can do a speech to anybody and everybody saying, we are no different than you, we have the same rights as you, it is guaranteed by certain doctrines in the basis of the United States, and, you know, we're not asking for anything that anybody else doesn't have, and it's not like it's a pie where there's only so many pieces. There's plenty of room. If you have those rights, he can have those rights, and I can have those rights. Nobody loses the rights.
As a trans woman living in 2023, I feel as if I'm walking around with a defined target on my back, not just the target. So what's happened with all this anti-trans rhetoric is it's defined. And I love what these kids are doing. They're like, we will not let you to define us, whether you're non-binary, trans, whatever you are. So kudos to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, next, let's queer up politics. Kentucky Republican gubernatorial candidate Kelly Craft says no transgenders in school. According to a prominent GOP gubernatorial candidate in Kentucky, Kelly Craft, a state with laws restricting the rights of transgender youth, schools will not allow transgender students in the classroom if she becomes governor. In a telephone town hall held Monday night, the former United Nations ambassador under former President Donald Trump said, quote, "We will not have transgenders in our school system," end quote. Chris Hartman, the president of the Fairness Campaign, a Kentucky-based organization dedicated to advocating for the rights of LGBTQ plus people, described Craft's remarks as desperate and disgusting. The Republican gubernatorial primary is on May 16th, with 12 candidates running for the nomination. Kelly will face State Attorney General Daniel Cameron, one of the candidates. Craft's running mate, State Senator Matt Wise, sponsored a bill earlier this year that restricts the rights of transgender youth as his way to fight, quote, a woke agenda by Democrats and those who are affirming to people of diverse backgrounds. In February, Wise attacked a state education policy that requires acknowledging and using the students' personal pronouns, a gesture of respect that Republicans nationwide have railed against. Kelly will face off against the current governor, Democrat Andy Beshear, who is running for re-election in a conservative-leaning state. I'm pretty sure Kelly Craft is not watching us, but just in case she is, or anyone wants to send it to her, Kelly, my message to you is shame on you. You do to others as you wish to have done unto you, and you claiming to be a Christian. I see these tweets and these messages out there. You claiming to be a Christian. Christians are not supposed to hurt other people, so they say. So shame on you. You're a coward, and I want everyone in Kentucky to go. And I know we're not supposed to endorse people, but go and vote for Andy Beshear. This is a fight against fascism. And Kelly Craft is a fascist.
Where's she supposed to put these kids? You might have 15 in the whole state showing up in in a trans state. Where are you supposed to put them?
That statement, even no transgender allowed in school, you can do what you're doing by interfering with treatment and gender affirming care. But a transgender person is a transgender person is a transgender person.
Yeah.
So I was in school as a transgender kid. So that silliness is just silliness.
And the state constitution there, like in Florida, gives them the constitutional right to a public education. So I don't know how that's going to go.
Exactly.
Like what happened to law and order, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Now you're having to you have to create a budget for this small percentage of students. And you're going to have to build your own little school because you don't want them in the school with the rest of the students. that has red flags all over it.
Absolutely. Like, what are we teaching the students who are still in the classroom? Like, oh, you have to be a certain way, you have to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way. Okay, well, we've already gone through the Civil War, we've already talked about a lot of these things, and we're doing it all over again. But unfortunately, because of, I won't say his name, 45's ridiculous presidency, and the way that he campaigned, just throwing out the most vile but triggering rhetoric, he garnered the support of a whole bunch of people who, like you said, and this is no shade, but are uneducated when it comes to what government is and what government does.
Right.
And you just say trigger words at this point, and people start to buy into it because headlines and 15-second TikToks are all you really need.
It's sound bites.
Exactly. It's
But I don't think it's going to go through because Kentucky, as far as I understand from a government perspective, the business aspect of a government, the financial aspect, now you're defining that the state has to build private facilities for the smallest portion of your school on a public scale. And if they go to a private school, you now are forcing that private school to build separate but equal facilities. Separate but equal reminds us of what?
It's just foolishness.
I mean, this was settled with Brown versus Board of Education.
Yeah, exactly.
A done dead on the.
So I mean, this has such lawsuit written all over it that I'm praying to God that the Kentucky voter will go, yeah, no, thank you very much. Be done.
Good thing is they won't have to deal with this because my prediction is Andy Beshear will walk into the seat in re-election.
Hopefully.
And talk about the running mate. You know, that's another one that needs to disappear. So next up, let's queer up entertainment. Marcia Gay Harden said her queer children inspire her LGBTQ plus advocacy. During the Drag Isn't Dangerous telethon on Sunday, which raised more than $500,000 for LGBTQ plus charities as anti-drag legislation rises across the United States, Marcia Gay Harden said her children motivate her work. She went on to slam anti-LGBTQ plus legislation, saying, "The laws are fear-based and they are spreading fear and hatred among other people." She thinks the government has to fight this fear. The actor shares 3 children with her ex-husband, Thaddeus Scheel. Her children are Eula Scheel, Julita D. Harden Scheel, and Hudson Harden Scheel. Her eldest child is non-binary, her youngest son is gay, and her son is gay, and the youngest is fluid. The television included several drag performances like Jinx Monsoon, Trixie Mattel, and Candace Kane, as well as celebrity allies like Charlize Theron, Leslie Jones, Jesse Eisenberg, and Melissa McCarthy. Theron, 47, spoke in a pre-taped segment where she spoke directly to the drag community. Her message was loud and clear. Quote, "We love you, queens. We're in your corner, and we've got you. And I will fuck anybody up who's trying to fuck with anything with you guys." Thank you, Charlize. Charlize has adopted 2 children, 2 daughters, Jackson and August, and her daughter Jackson is transgender.
My friends, yes, we love you, queen. We love you, queen. We're in your corner, and we've got you, and I will fuck anybody up who's like trying to fuck with anything with you guys. It's really, in all seriousness, there's so many things that are hurting and really killing our kids, and we all know what I'm talking about right now. And it ain't no drag queen. Because if you've ever seen a drag queen lip sync for her life, it only makes you happier. It only makes you love more. It makes you a better person. Fuck, if I could do a death drop right now, I would. But I would probably like break my hip. But, listen, I want to ask everybody out there, please support all the great organizations that are out there helping all of this nonsense going away like it should. All of these incredibly stupid policies. Bye! Bye! No more room for hate! Only love, and love equals drag queen! Drag queen!
Just drop the mic on that one.
Seriously.
I mean, you can't say anything more than that. And I love the fact that she had so much fun obviously saying fuck a lot, but you know, I mean, what can you say at this point? She mastered the statement.
My girl crush on Charlize just got huge.
Same.
Like in seconds. As a drag queen myself, I have an alter ego, Miss Finesse, and she was in retirement for a while. And recently, Miss Finesse has been making appearances.
I was going to say she might have to reappear.
Well, that's what Miss Finesse has been doing. And it's kind of scary because as Miss Finesse, I've interviewed A-list celebrities on red carpets out in the open. It was never a thought. I've been on Check Please South Florida a couple of times, even won their 10-year anniversary as Best Food Critic. As you can see, I love my food. And it's very scary, when I step into my drag persona, I could get arrested.
Yeah.
And, first time is a misdemeanor, second time it's a felony, and I'm just doing drag, So I think we all have to stand up and stand together, and I love what she did. She stood up and unapologetically, blah, 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 said fuck 10 times.
Right.
I hire her.
Yeah.
I hire her.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
100%.
She's my new press agent.
Well, but again, the laws that are being proposed or being passed are so vaguely written that they're all going to go into court situation, because it's as simple as seeing a woman dressed in a tie, and pants or a nice blouse that could be considered gendered by some Karen or whatever the male Karen is called, could be approached, Ken and Karen, okay? They could make a complaint, and that straight woman who's done nothing but wear a fashionable outfit could be arrested. And so I think that the vagueness is going to force it to go to court, and we're just going to have one hell of a legal team, because all these lawsuits are going to be exhausting.
So much for free speech.
It's another dig, I think, also at the transgender community. I mean, if somebody clocks me, I'm very out and open. I don't live my life to pass or not pass. I'm just me. But what if somebody says something and I might have a lot of makeup on or might have a hairpiece or something? Is that drag? And could they arrest me for that? And it's making me question a lot of my choices, and I don't really feel comfortable with that. I became a citizen of this great country 2 years ago.
Oh, congratulations.
2 Junes ago. And it's just unbelievable how things have shifted just in 2 years. But I still believe in this country. I still believe in the people. And there are a lot of good people out there. So let's just hope people go and vote, go and vote, go and vote.
Absolutely. Charlize could probably handle a lot, but I got her back in your back too. So
I'll take it.
I'll fuck whoever you need to get fucked up.
Awesome.
We'll take care of them.
Awesome.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Next, I was ready. Next, let's queer up business. Not rainbow capitalism. These pride brands give back. It's nearly 25 years since June was first declared as Pride Month by President Bill Clinton in 1999. Thanks, Bill. Along with federal recognition, over the years, brands have incorporated lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer messaging in products and campaigns as a way to celebrate the community's ongoing advancements toward equality, protection, and inclusion. Here is the list of some of the brands and retailers that are donating to causes that support LGBTQ+ people and are releasing products with purpose. Pride-themed apparel, footwear, beauty, accessories, collections with empowering messages, and so on. American Eagle has partnered with influencer Olivia Ponton on a colorful collection featuring genderless t-shirts, boxers, shorts, and more. The retailer will continue its support of the It Gets Better project by donating $100,000. It Gets Better project is dedicated to empowering and connecting LGBTQ youth worldwide. The second brand is Doc Martens. It continues its partnership with a $200,000 commitment to the Trevor Project, the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for LGBTQ+ youth. Psycho Bunny is another brand that has looked within for its limited edition Pride Month t-shirt designed by Director of Stores Michael J. Lopez. It will donate 100% of net proceeds to One Pulse Foundation, which empowers LGBTQ+ youth. I love this. I love that that companies, I like that they get on board with Pride because I think that the visibility is great. And I do understand that some of it is just like marketing and what was the term they used at the beginning?
Rainbow capitalism.
Rainbow capitalism.
Which there's a problem with. I mean, like groups like Publix, like say, oh, we're so big with the LGBT community, we're at Pride, and then they go and donate $500,000 to Ron DeSantis.
I know.
In 2022. And so you have to think about
now that's the kind of stuff that needs to be called out. And that's where we do need to stay educated and stay aware and stay woke, which is not a bad word, by the way.
Amazing.
Erykah Badu explained it. Go look it up. But seriously, like it's almost like the proof is in the pudding, right? You have to see what happens throughout the rest of the year with these companies, what they speak about, what they stand for, who they defend. And then okay, cool, it's not just rainbow capitalism, but it's actual support for our community.
Target has been a really strong ally as well of ours. I mean, they have rainbow sections everywhere. And I think
Walmart has a gay section in June, which it's...
Really?
They'll have 4 T-shirts or a pair of shorts, but when it trickles down to Walmart, and the Waltons who are so religiously set in their mindset, it shows that there's financial value there. I mean, the gay community represents $1 trillion in spendability in the United States alone.
Sure.
So, any corporation is going to want to at least look at it.
I'd like to challenge corporations who are using Pride Month as a way to show their support to also pull in LGBTQ plus artists for your designs, for your logos, for everything. Like, let's really support our community, not just in making money and showing visibility, but also put your money where your mouth is.
Well, I want to see them do it on a 12-month basis. I don't want it just to be Pride Month that I see somebody with a flag.
Valid.
I mean, I have to give Disney props because throughout the year, if you're a true Disney file, you'll notice in the park there's the pins, or there's a set of ears, or there's something. Apple does the same things. IKEA, they are very pro-gay, LGBTQ. So I mean, I'd like most of the corporations like Psycho Bunny to do that on a 12-month basis. And I understand June, we all focus on June, but if you look at the calendar, we have Prides in February and we have Prides in October. And
that's very true.
I'd like to see it on a yearly basis and not have to make it a discussion anymore. Right. That's the important thing.
But capitalism or not, I'm glad that we're represented in all these different places so people can see it's okay to say gay.
Yep.
Right.
It's okay to say trans.
Right.
I think that representation is great.
I think I love looking on Twitter on July 1st when all of the corporations changed their profile pictures from the LGBT flag right back to the regular logo.
Oh, okay. 4th of July.
I see.
Yeah.
All right, next we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
We finished tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up education. Fargo, North Dakota school superintendent speaks out against anti-LGBTQ+ bills.
I think that we as adults in North Dakota in our legislative session failed our children because we are putting our politics over their humanity.
He went on to say that they will not openly out any student because of one law if they know it will cause harm to that child. Governor Doug Burgum signed a bill that allows teachers to ignore the pronouns of transgender students and requires them to tell parents or guardians if a student identifies as a transgender at school.
The superintendent of Fargo Public Schools is formally addressing recent legislation concerning gender expression, gender identity, and other LGBTQ+ issues. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum recently signed a bill that allows public school teachers to ignore the pronouns of transgender students. At a school board meeting on May 9th, Superintendent Dr. Rupak Gandhi said that the adults in North Dakota in the legislative session have failed the students by putting politics over humanity. Dr. Gandhi presented facts reported by the Trevor Project showing suicide is the second largest leading cause of death for children ages 10 to 24. He also reported LGBTQ+ youth are 4 times as likely to attempt suicide than their peers.
LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up politics. Gay U.S. Representative George Santos, indicted on 13 charges, pleads not guilty.
Into them. I'm going to fight. I'm getting back to that. I'm going to fight my battle. I'm going to deliver. I'm going to fight the witch hunt. I'm going to take care of clearing my name, and I look forward to doing that. Now, hold on. What do you say to that? I would like the opportunity for some of you guys to ask some questions in an orderly fashion, and we'll start right here. Go ahead, Rachel.
Why would you apply for unemployment benefits when you had a job making $120,000 a year?
Rachel, this is part of my defense.
U.S. Representative George Santos, infamous for fabricating his life story, pleaded not guilty Wednesday to charges he duped donors, stole from his campaign, and lied to Congress about being a millionaire, all while cheating to collect unemployment benefits he didn't deserve. Afterward, he said he wouldn't drop his re-election bid and defied calls to resign. Santos said he planned to return to Washington, where the indictment amplifies doubts about the freshman's ability to serve. House Republican leaders are taking a wait-and-see approach, saying Santos is innocent until proven guilty. Others are reiterating previous calls for Santos to step aside.
LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Star Trek Discovery queer cast and crew members are honored by Outright International. Paramount's Star Trek Discovery will be honored by Outright International, a global human rights organization centered on improving the lives of LGBTQ+ people at its annual Celebration of Courage Awards and Gala on June 5th. This year marks the 27th iteration of the event, and one of the evening's 3 honors, the Outspoken Award, will go to the queer members of the cast and production team of the Paramount Plus series. This particular award is designed to recognize outspoken leadership and allies that has contributed to advancing the rights and visibility of the LGBTQ+ people around the world.
Conservatives claim we are trying to take over the world, but we're just looking for fun things to do. It's not just news, it's, quote, the gay agenda, unquote.
Next, the gay agenda. In this week's HOTspots, Margaret Cho and Legally Blonde the Musical bring laughs to South Florida. HOTspots magazine's new issue is already on stands, and it features exciting events scheduled for South Florida this week. 2 of them are the visit of Margaret Cho on May 18th and the arrival of the Legally Blonde the Musical at Kravitz Center from May 16th through the 21st. Margaret could be called the queen of all media, having conquered the worlds of film, television, books, music, and theater. In 2017, Rolling Stone magazine named her one of the 50 best stand-up comics, calling her the sort of funny, sex-positive, feminist, and LGBTQ activist younger comics continue to look up to. Margaret is also recognized for her charitable work with gay rights. The tickets to her show are available at parkerplayhouse.com. And on the other hand, America's favorite blonde, Elle Woods, is ready to prove who's in charge as Legally Blonde the musical comes to the Raymond F. Kravitz Center for the Performing Arts in West Palm Beach. There will be 8 performances. Legally Blonde will take you from the UCLA sorority house to the Harvard halls of justice with a coming-of-age story of Broadway's brightest heroine. Tickets for Legally Blonde are on sale and can be purchased online at the official Kravitz Center website, by phone at 561-832-7469, or by visiting the Kravitz box office.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ+ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ+ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and your family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ+ news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of HOTspots magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Franchesca D'Amore, and on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Elijah Manley, Matthew Darren, and Brently Frey, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ+ world, we wish you good night.
Good night.
Good night.
LGBTQ+ news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBT